Vortex's approach to modding, it's not really the best. If you were there for the stream the other day, you'll know that we talked about how Mod Organizer is a better mod manager than Vortex, and that is something that I would love to go into, but it would just take so long to cover everything that's wrong with Vortex. But I think the main thing wrong with Vortex is its target audience. Vortex is targeted at beginner modders who likely don't know what they're doing, and it's got a lot of features such as automatic load orders, which can help these people that are new to modding. Even on their website, they say that Vortex is a great fit for new modders who have little to no experience when it comes to the intricacies of load order management and mod conflict resolution. But it's the way that it goes about solving these issues which is the problem, because the way I personally like to think of modding is essentially a gateway drug into more modding, as if you download one mod, you'll likely not stop there. For example, this one mod may require another mod that will require the script extender, and then after you've installed the script extender, you have all these other really cool mods that you can now finally download that you'll probably want to try out, and then before you know it, you've reached the plugin limit. And because of that, I think the best approach to take when it comes to modding is to view it as if you're in there for the long haul. Always build your load order as if you're building it for 200 mods, and keep it healthy. Now obviously, this isn't the easiest thing to do, it will take some learning, but everything takes learning. And Vortex's methods pretty much automate the entire process, meaning that those people that will have those massive load orders using Vortex aren't going to necessarily know what to do when it breaks. You see, Vortex uses loot to mainly manage your load order, and this is great as it's an automated tool which is really easy to use and can bear a lot of the burden of messing around with your load order. However, the issue is loot at the end of the day is an automated tool. Because of this, obviously there can be some errors and it's not going to be accurate 100% of the time. For example, if a mod updates or if a mod page specifies it being in a certain order, loot likely isn't going to comply with that, and it will end up giving the mod the wrong priority in your load order. And this can lead to some instability issues further on down the line. Vortex's own rule system really isn't adequate to deal with this, as its UI can quickly become very confusing when you need to set up rules for multiple mods at a time. Because of this, the rule system is far inferior to drag and drop. Drag and drop is a really simple method of managing mods, and honestly, Mod Organizer 2 has the best of both worlds. Pretty much, as long as you're sorting by mod priority, you can drag your plugins and just move them around in your load order and set them to the priority you want them to be. And this is where Mod Organizer 2 is just far superior even for the beginner user, as like Vortex, it also has loot. So if you don't know what you're doing, there is also that automatic feature in place. If you want to install something like, let's say, Tailor 2 Wastelands, which recommends a specific load order priority, we can lock these plugins in a specific place. So that way, whenever we do sort them with loot, these ones won't change priority. Or you could just use ML2's dedicated Tailor 2 Wastelands profile to do this instead. Now this is where I get to complain about Vortex's justification for foregoing this drag and drop system for something far less user friendly in the long run. As they say that the downside of the drag and drop approach is that it requires knowledge of mods, plugins, and the way they interact, and the content of a mod itself. Yes, it does, and this should honestly be a given, as when downloading anything in general, you should probably know what it's going to be doing in the first place before you press that download button. So it's very important to read the mod page, as they often provide crucial information that you probably need to know if you're going to be installing it. This, combined with the collection system, which is a whole another issue, means that more often than not, Vortex users are likely going to end up breaking their game. And this doesn't just go for Vortex users. I mean, it's pretty much inevitable that you're going to end up breaking your game accidentally at some point. And this is another area where MO2 is just better. As there's a larger number of the community that use MO2 that are knowledgeable when it comes to mods, you'll likely be able to find more support for MO2. And I'm sure that everyone's seen an instance where a Vortex user has gone into Discord or wherever, complaining about their load order not working, and nobody really knows how to help them out because they're using Vortex. This can lead to a ton of other issues, as they'll likely get the cold shoulder, and they could potentially end up demonizing the modding community and then miss out on a ton of amazing experience that this community has provided. Now, another way in which MO2 is better if you just end up fucking up your game is you're always going to have a safety net of having your vanilla files being completely clean. As through the use of virtualized file systems and mod isolation, none of your files are actually even touching your data folder. So this means unless you installed a mod manually into your data folder, it's going to be exactly the same as if you just did a fresh install. And going back to that state is as easy as just changing profiles. which saves you the hassle of having to do a complete fresh install of either Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas again. Honestly though, at the end of the day, the biggest issue is that Vortex is targeting to these beginner modders and could potentially be setting them up for failure, and its automation prevents new users from learning essential knowledge that they pretty much need to know if they're going to want to be modding their game, which is why you likely see a lot of people complaining about often having crashes when using mods. Because I'd go as far as to say 90% of the time this is a skill issue on the user's part, and they've likely done something wrong that they just don't know about because they simply never had to learn it. So they take their frustration out on whatever the particular mod is they downloaded and target their complaints somewhere where it shouldn't be. And this is why I recommend Mod Organizer 2, as it has the necessary tools that can truly allow you to create the perfect experience you're looking for in your modded game. And one of the ways in which it does this is with its hidden file system. Now, the hidden file system for Mod Organizer 2 is really useful, especially as with KMBSE mods, there's no visible overwriting that's occurring, as none of the mods are technically replacing the same files as each other, thus they don't appear to be conflicting. If I wanted to use Hitman's animations on pretty much every weapon, but I preferred ETJ's repeat as animations, I could just hide Hitman's files and then use ETJ's perfectly fine. But if at any point I decide I want to use Hitman's animations instead, all I need to do is just unhide those files in MO2 instead of reinstalling the whole mod. Honestly, MO2 is just simply the best mod manager out there, as it ensures that you have that safety net of the vanilla New Vegas to fall back on, and it's got a lot of features that I haven't even mentioned here that easily make it the best to recommend for a Fallout game. DarkPopulous does a couple of amazing videos on MO2, and I'll leave a link to this one down below in case you decide you want to make the switch to Mod Organizer. Because honestly, I think switching is one of the best things I've ever done. Since I had to go back a couple of months ago to try and make a collection, it was honestly one of the most miserable experiences of my life, and I would do anything to not have to go through that again and to hopefully save some other people from the suffering as well. But anyways, that's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. And if you use Nexus Mod Manager, good for you, as long as it's like the new updated one. I haven't used it personally, but I've heard that Nexus Mod Manager is like the community version is quite good, and they're unlocking